Broker Bulletin acknowledges the traditional custodians of all the lands across the country on which we record our podcast and pays its respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Welcome to the Broker Bulletin podcast, where better begins. Join us as we chat with brokers about what's working for them, what drives them, and the real challenges and wins that matter most right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Katherine Persoglia and welcome back to a brand new episode of Broker Bulletin. It is great to have you with us today. Well, I love bridging finance. Said no broker ever. Until now. I've been really looking forward to today's episode where we're talking all things bridging finance and how brokers can not run away from these opportunities, but rather embrace them and embrace the opportunity, tap into a market that some brokers are missing or even avoiding. And that market is that next home buyer, the downsizers and the upsizers. And we're doing it with the help of some seriously clever innovation. Joining me is Mira Hohn, the Chief Product Officer at Athena and Apollo. She's been right in the thick of things, reimagining bridging finance. And I've got to say, what her team has built is certainly a game changer. Welcome to the show, Mira.
Thank you, Kath. Thanks for having me.
This is exciting. I have so many questions to ask you today, and I'm so excited to share what you've built with the brokers. Let's get straight into it. Tell me more about the bridging finance market and what are these opportunities for brokers?
Well, thank you, Kath, for asking. And I love how you started off saying no brokers love bridging. We've spent a lot of time talking to brokers across the whole LMG network. And there are a few who actually do say they love bridging, but they are very much not the majority. And a number of brokers that have come to our sessions have simply said, I don't do bridging. I don't love it. The question about the opportunity is a fantastic one. And I'd actually like to take a step back to not even just what's the bridging opportunity, what's the opportunity to help more Australians make more moves. Today, 1.8 million Aussies think about making a move, try and make a move, but less than half of them actually do make a move. And I think that's a really, really interesting statistic when we think about, as you said, all of the different Aussies and borrowers that are out there that are looking to move into their dream next property, get the kids into separate bedrooms, get a pool, relocate for their job, downsize and move to a new lifestyle property. A lot of those people are just not able to pursue their dreams. Now, why is that? I think is a really, really good question. And part of that really is the lack of clarity and certainty as to how you make that move. So as we've thought about this new product and experience for Apollo Next, we've thought about how we help the brokers guide borrowers through making that next move and what's a fundamentally better product to support that. And that's where bridging comes into it. So one of the different ways of making a move is obviously bridging. Less than 5% of the market today really does take up bridging, probably far less than that for certain brokers in certain areas. And what we've built is a product there that can support more bridging and more moves, ultimately more listings for agents, more deals for brokers, and more Aussies getting their dreams.
I've been on this development journey, and I think that not only this scenario or strategy builder tool that you've created, which I know you're going to talk more about later in the podcast, not only that is amazing, but your policy niches are incredible. And I'm all about policy. And I'd love you to take us through and talk about how your policies are different from the other, say, traditional bridging loans that are available in the market right now?
Yeah, great question. Very happy to talk about that. As we've spoken to well over 20 brokers at LMG. When you talk about bridging, as you know, Kath, you can't really get out of bed for less than an hour and a half conversation on it because it is kind of complex. And when you look at each of the different policies and the mix and the experience there is so much that can be improved on. Through all the conversations with brokers, they kind of set us to task. They said there are 4 things that we need to be different. 1, we need better policies and better borrowing power so that we actually can help borrowers and help homeowners make a move. But we need those to still be safe because brokers, lenders, and Aussies all care about having the right end outcome. So get a good policy and get better borrowing power was the first thing, and I'll talk about some of those. The second was make it really simple and efficient and stop wasting our time because bridging finance takes a very long time for brokers to work through, and the current products and experiences that are out there. So they said, make it easy and fast for us and efficient. The third piece that we heard from brokers is make it more flexible. There are so many restrictions, processes, things you can and can't do. They're very different all across different lenders. Help us with a far more flexible and broad product set. So that was number 3. And number 4, which is really fair, is make the pricing of this fair for consumers and remunerate brokers for their efforts fairly. So that's what brokers set us to task on, Kath. We've been working very hard to deliver on that. So maybe just back to your question, I went on a bit of a tangent there of what are the policies that we've created and why are they different. So firstly, we're a single destination. So we support all different types of bridging. We're not just no end debt. We're not just bridge only. We're not just you only come to us where you do have end debt. We allow all of those different types. If you're an upsizer, you've got a long mortgage ahead of you, or hopefully a short one once you start paying it down, we're here for you. You're a downsizer and you don't have any end debt, absolutely great. You just want to come for the bridge and you've got a relationship with a bank elsewhere, also fine. So we want to be a single destination and not make it hard for brokers to work out who do I go to for what specific niche. The guided experience and the next modeler I'll talk about as well in a bit more detail, but that really helps to unpack the policies and helps brokers to work out how to get the customer into the bridging loan. But I know you love policies.
I love policies, yes.
So let me talk about a few of those. So for starters, you would ask every broker what's the biggest pain point in policies, and they'll talk about the shading of the current property value. Now, there has to be something there, right? We've got to manage the risk, but shading is typically 10%, 15%, sometimes even 20%. Our shading is set at 5%. We think that that is the right blend of risk and maximizing borrowing power. So that, as a starter, makes a big difference. Some of the brokers we've spoken to said, hold my beer, stop right there. That's already a game changer. But we've done a couple of other things. So interest capitalized across the bridge, and maybe get a little bit technical here, but it's normally set at 12 months, which is the maximum term for the bridge. How many bridges on average run to 12 months? Not very many. Aussies and homeowners are very motivated to get out of that bridge as quickly as they've gotten into it. On average, a bridge term is around 3 months. We've set our minimum interest capitalization term as 6 months plus. Now, if someone thinks they're going to take longer, we'll absolutely set it to 7 months, 8 months, 12 months, but it can be as a minimum of 6 months, which really halves effectively the interest that will be capitalized across that 12-month period and gives a bit more borrowing power at the end of the loan. That's the second one. Third one, most lenders cap out at 80%. LVR for the peak debt, we actually go up to 85% where there is a contract of sale and 80% still where there isn't. And that's the right sort of risk measure for us. Where there is end debt, we service only on that end debt. So we don't need to service the peak debt during the bridge, which is great. Many lenders still force some kind of IO-based servicing during that period. Where there is no end debt, then there is no servicing on that as well. So all of those policies put together really help with better borrowing power and a better experience.
There's so much to navigate for brokers in bridging finance. There's the loan application process, which can be so time consuming. And then there's the client's expectations. To help brokers embrace these opportunities rather than avoid them and be more confident in this space, what do you recommend? How do you think brokers should get started?
Kath, I think there's a number of places that brokers can go to get started really as of right now. They can go straight into the next modeler and start playing with it and using it. They could do that ahead of time, talking to a customer they know is coming in. They could do that on a scenario they've already worked up. It's all there and available for them in the Athena broker portal. They could also access a bunch of information on Brokerversity. There's tools, guides, collateral. But really, brokers just need to get going and start having these conversations. The product's there and available. We've got our Athena BDMs, our Apollo BDMs, who are very happy to talk the brokers through this in detail. We'll no doubt be hosting a range of webinars coming up as well, but we've made the next modeler so easy to use. So it really is that just next step for the brokers.
You've taken what is so difficult to explain to a customer and you've put it into a tool where you can show visually what the different pathways are. And that can really be so powerful upfront when you are starting that conversation rather than meandering through and maybe getting to that point 10 conversations later. To have that data and to be able to show your customer upfront, these are your different options, because that will help determine upfront. Sometimes it is a no. Well, you can't do that option, but you know that upfront in a discovery session. And as you said, being able to share your screen and share that information is so powerful. So tell me from a broker's perspective, what makes that ideal bridging customer? What kind of customer are they looking out for, or the parameters in which they need to know about?
There's a story I have from a broker that we met in one of the sessions. And I said, how many people come to you every day looking to make a move? And they're like, literally most of the people I talk to every day want to make a move. I get so many upgraders. And I said, how many bridging loans do you sell? And he's like, none. So I would say the ideal customer is someone who wants to make a move. Like, it can be so many different scenarios, but so few of them today are actually seen as appropriate for bridging. And that's where we think there is a big opportunity. And as you say, by going through the next modeler, it might be that bridging isn't appropriate in some cases, and that's okay. But being able to qualify that upfront in a really easy way and build confidence in the direction the customer needs to go in is fantastic. One thing I do want to say, though, is there are some people that are not right for bridging. There are some scenarios that don't suit bridging. So we're used to looking at lending as like a long-term home loan. Bridging isn't a long-term home loan. Bridging is at max 12 months generally. So for someone who's not motivated to actually sell but wants to buy first, someone who thinks their property might be worth a very different amount and isn't prepared to sell it at the right amount, someone who's got a really busy lifestyle and just isn't really going to have the capacity to sell in that next year, bridging might not be the right solution for them. And there is a risk in that. And I know brokers are really passionate about that as well.
So let's be honest, brokers do cringe when they hear bridging finance because of what they need to navigate, both lodging the loan and also guiding their customers. I was speaking to a broker at a PD day just yesterday, and his words verbatim were, bridging finance does my head in. And so many brokers feel the same way. And what you've built absolutely takes all of those pain points. But to help brokers, I guess, embrace these opportunities rather than resisting and running away from them, how can you help brokers become more confident and lean into these opportunities? What resources have you got, and where can they start?
Firstly, I think just talking about it as making a move rather than bridging. So you've got someone coming into your office, they're talking about making a move. Pick up the move modeler. It doesn't matter if you don't come out with a bridging loan off the back of it. And it doesn't matter even if you don't come out with an Apollo Next loan or an Apollo Max or other loan, although we'd love that to be the case. But ultimately, we're trying to solve a broker's problem here. So picking up that move modeler, it's very easy and intuitive to use. It's a link that you can access via your Apollo broker portal, and you can just play with that and go through it, and it guides you all the way. Now, you might come off the back of that going, wow, I've actually got a fully structured bridging loan here that I can offer my customer in like a couple of minutes. Or you might find out that bridging wasn't the right thing and you've got them another great loan that you can offer separately. So that next modeler is going to be available in brokers' hands as of next Wednesday, the 19th. So we've been getting lots of requests for when they're getting it. So that might be a bit of a splash telling you there that date. Otherwise, we've got a webinar coming up next week as well, where we're going to be breaking it down in more detail, talking through all the policies, talking through the pricing, and also demoing the move modeler. So that would be another great place for brokers to come to. And all of our Apollo BDMs are ready and raring to go. And so if a broker just wants to have a meeting, get a demo of the tool, talk about bridging, declare that they love bridging now, we're up for it and we're here.
You never know.
Never know.
And look, at LMG, we are all about education, and we will certainly be doing some courses inside Brokerversity, inside the Broker's Bible, just to make sure that we can also support brokers. We love what you're doing. So tell us what else is on the roadmap. We know that you are doing lots of co-creation with brokers, which I think is fantastic. You are listening to brokers and the needs. What is out there? What's potentially next? Anything exciting?
Ooh, are you looking for a scoop, Kath?
Yes.
Well, maybe I just sort of start with saying that that solving the core broker and borrower problem in an innovative way is actually what we really try and do at Apollo. And it's, the core background of Athena's DNA as well. And what we're really focused on now is not just solving a particular policy, not just solving a specific background product, but trying to really solve a bigger space like we've done here with bridging and making a move. So we do really well now with the policies we've got for investors. for self-employed, for non-trading companies and trusts, and really for helping borrowers gain leverage for making their next purchase. So that's where we focus today with our policies and products. And obviously Apollo Next kind of fits into that. But then what's next after next is a good question. So we will be working with brokers to really inform that roadmap. We're interested in doubling down and solving even more of the pain points in the areas that we know brokers love us for. We think there's a lot more opportunity to go in investor, both investor experience and investor products. We are really interested in expanding out our non-trading companies and trusts into trading over time. And then there's a lot more on the roadmap as we look at all the different things that are out there, be it SMSF or otherwise. But we believe really flexible solutions with amazing experiences for areas of the market that really need that and are good borrowers is like really where we're going. So really we're open for co-creating. We would love to hear from any brokers on things that they think Apollo should offer. And the joy and the co-creation is just going to keep on going.
Well, I love that. I love that you are embedded in the broking world and the broking market and supporting brokers. At Broker Bulletin, we're all about finding those 1% improvements that lead to big wins. What's one small thing you do every day that has the biggest impact on your performance?
Well, I actually didn't have to think about this one very hard. And I was like, what kind of, great AI hacks or something could I share? And I mean, there are a few of those. But actually, the single biggest thing, and it's potentially a little more than 1% of my day that makes a difference, is actually moving. And this is not, pun intended on helping Aussies make a move, but all of us moving is actually super important. And so for me, going for a run at the start of the day, getting up and moving between meetings, having a walking meeting, just constantly moving is really what keeps my brain going. It keeps me energized for the day. It keeps me, really enthusiastic and I'm feeling on top of my game. So a lot of us and brokers more than ever now are spending a lot of time in Zoom meetings, right? And less time in the office and less time walking around. So I really encourage making a move in between all of those things. I certainly see the benefits of it in what I do.
I love it. And I love what Apollo is doing. I love that you're not swimming in the sea of same. And to wrap up today, brokers, I want you to remember these top 10 policy highlights because they are market leading. And I know there is 10, but you need to circle back and listen to this podcast again. I'm going to read these to you. 80% LVR with capped interest, 85% LVR if your client has a signed contract to sale at submission, up to 12 months term, 5% shading on the property value. No need to have your existing property sold when you submit the loan. Servicing is based on the end debt, not the peak debt. Available for multiple properties, including the sale of an investment. One single loan application, no end debt bridging is available, and no clawback. Let Apollo Next become your broker bridging BFF. I'm Katherine Persoglia. Thank you so much for listening. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, please email us at brokerbulletin@lmg.broker or DM us on Instagram at lmg.broker, and our producer will make it happen. If you like this episode, please make sure you rate and follow us in your favorite pod store. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Kath. So nice to talk to you.
Thanks for tuning in to Broker Bulletin. We would hate for you to miss an episode. Subscribe to Broker Bulletin in your favourite podcast app. Has this episode been helpful? We'd love you to rate and review us. It'll help us deliver content that's useful to you and help others discover us. If you have great ideas for topics worth tackling or have burning questions you'd like addressed on an upcoming episode, reach out. Links in the show notes. See you next time.